What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at 51st Dates starring Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. Let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. As an overall package, I like 51st Dates. I think this movie is actually really good. This movie stars Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, who reunite after having done their wedding singer together. And just like in that movie, in this movie, Sandler and Barrymore have an impeccable chemistry. These two just work so well together, and you can tell by watching this movie and Wedding Singer back to back, Barrymore and Sandler, they're meant to be in terms of on-screen love interests. Their chemistry is so natural, it's just so realistic, and they work so well off one another. And they pretty much take a story, which is the whole idea of what would happen if someone that you're in love with has a brain condition that prevents her from remembering you every day, and you have to go to great lengths to try and preserve that. Like on paper, you can use that for like a one-note joke, but to the credit of Sandler and Barrymore, they actually do a great job at taking that story and for the most part taking it serious and they take it serious for the most part. I mean, you do get some instances where they kind of poke fun at it a little bit, and I can see how some people can find that to be maybe offensive, depending on how you view it. But to me personally, I thought Sandler and Barrymore played it very, very straight. They played it very, very tender. And as usual, like I said, their on-screen chemistry is impeccable. You know, Henry Roth, he's like this womanizing veterinarian who just has these one-night stands. Then one day he goes to a Waffle House, meets Lucy, falls in love with her. Then he finds out that Lucy suffers from a condition where she loses her memory daily. So he has to go to great lengths to preserve the newfound relationship he's having with this woman because he's falling for her. And on the flip side, Lucy is somebody who's also is struggling as well, because every day she has to keep being reminded that it's the same day of the week of her accident, and she doesn't really, and not only that, her family have to struggle with trying to preserve that as well. But they're also faced with the question of what will happen when she ages 10 years, and instead of seeing a young woman, she sees an old woman. Like, you know, you got both these characters who have their conflicts, then they come together as one. I enjoyed it. I like it. I think I'm talking a little bit too deep for a movie called 51st Dates, but that's just what I get out of it. In terms of an Adam Sandler comedy, it's what you expect. You know, you do get like I said, you got the gross out humor, which is peppered in this movie. Those are the weakest parts of this movie. For example, the stuff with Adam Sandler's co-worker, whose name I can't remember. You know, she's one of the weakest links of this movie. I'm not a big fan of her comedic. I'm not a big fan of this actress. Nor that I thought she was funny. I thought she was the weakest part. Same with Sean Astin, who has this running joke of him being on the juice since he was disqualified from the Olympics. I mean, I got nothing against Sean Astin. I liked him in other things. I thought he was okay in this, but I didn't really find him particularly funny. That's what I'm really trying to get at. But all the other humor kind of lands for me. And all the other supporting actors I enjoyed, like Blake Clark, who plays Lucy's father. I thought he was really good in this movie. He does a really good job at handling the over-the-top comedy and the more serious side of his character, and making it gel really, really well. You got Dan Aykroyd, who plays Dr. Keats, who was the one who's the expert on Lucy's brain trauma. And it's Dan Aykroyd. He can take any dialogue and make it sound interesting and funny, because he's got that delivery that just never ends. So, the supporting cast for the most part, I do enjoy. The story for the most part, I can see how some people can view it as being a mockery to people with brain issues and psychological trauma. But for me, I thought the movie for the most part did a good job at showing respect without being too damning to it or too demeaning to it. I mean, you do get some moments where the film does poke fun at it in a lot of areas, but for the most part, when it comes to Henry and Lucy, it does play it totally straight, and it does have its tender moments where you do kind of feel for Henry and Lucy in a lot of areas, especially when you get to the third act, where Lucy pretty much has to force herself to forget Henry, since she wants Henry to have his own life and not constantly have to revolve his life around her. because she needs that 24-hour attention. Like, that stuff is where the movie plays it really well. The scenes where Henry makes Lucy fall in love with him over and over again, those scenes are actually really well done, and they're actually kind of heartwarming in a lot of ways. So I do enjoy that. I mean, and like I said, this movie is not on the same par as The Wedding Singer, but it is good. And Sandler and Barrymore, the chemistry they had in The Wedding Singer shows in this movie. They hold it together, and they do a very fine job playing these characters who are different from their characters in The Wedding Singer. But they maintain that same spirit because Sandler and Barrymore's chemistry on screen is just so natural and just so much fun to watch. So I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that for the most part. And another flaw and another thing this movie does have is Rob Schneider, who plays Ula, the best friend of the Henry Roth character. I got nothing against Rob Schneider. I like Rob Schneider as a comedian. I think he's funny in some areas. In this movie, I didn't mind his character at all, though it did get a little too over the top and a little too now you're trying a little too hard. But it's whatever. It's Rob Schneider. Schneider is known for playing these over-the-top, stereotypical, quirky characters in Sandler movies. And in this one, it's not really an exception, but I did get some chuckles out of it, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, those are just my quick thoughts on 51st Dates. Overall, I like this movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.